I've added Palazzo Barberini to our itinerary for three main reasons. First is a stunning, richly decorated palace that houses an incredible collection of art, including masterpieces by Caravaggio, Raphael, and Artemisia Gentileschi. Second, it features two magnificent staircases designed by none other than the legendary rivals Bernini and Borromini, each showcasing their unique styles and perhaps even a hint of their artistic rivalry. And third, there is the so-called secret garden. Hidden away from the street, it's a beautifully maintained, peaceful spot, perfect for taking a break, maybe even a drink or a cappuccino from the little cafe that is tucked inside. But let's start with the beautiful staircases. The one you'll use to enter the building, which leads to the garden level and the first floor, and that was intended as the main staircase for public use, was designed by Bernini. It's a grand, square spiral staircase that conveys powers and magnificence, most likely exactly what Pope Urban VIII Barberini wanted to convey upon those visiting the palace at that time. You will climb down the second staircase, the one designed by Borromini, at the end of the tour of the palazzo, on the way out. This staircase is oval-shaped and spirals down in a smooth, elegant curve, a perfect example of Borromini's refined style. So you can probably notice the two distinct styles adopted by these artists, who spent their lives competing and often mocking each other's work. Now, I have to side with Borromini's staircase on this one. Climbing those spiraling steps with lights streaming down from above and waving through the side columns felt like stepping into a Walt Disney's movie. As we move through the many rooms of the palazzo, you'll have the opportunity to admire some beautifully decorated walls and ceilings, as well as a vast collection of paintings. There are two in particular that I want to talk about because of the fascinating story behind the artists who painted them. Who doesn't like a great love story, even if this one that I'm about to tell you does not have a good ending? I'm talking about the painting by the great Raphael of the Fornarina, meaning the baker's daughter. The painting is delicate, intimate, and sensual. The nudity in the painting is natural and never vulgar, and the expression on her face is ambiguous and mysterious and makes the viewers keep wondering. So, who was really this lady? Her real name is Margherita Luti, and she was the baker's daughter with whom Raphael fell passionately in love. Raphael was well known for his romantic nature that was fully expressed in his love with Margherita. The love was so intense that when he was commissioned to work on Palazzo Farnese, his repeated absences from work to meet with his beloved lover concerned the commissioner of the work so much for the delay of the project that he invited Margherita to stay in one of the rooms in the palazzo while Raphael was working on his project. Unfortunately, this love was not meant to last. Raphael died while just 37 years old. Margherita was so deeply devastated by her loss that she entered a convent where she spent the rest of her life. The next painting is by Caravaggio, and it undoubtedly stands out from all other work of art in the palazzo. I'm referring to Judith beheading Holofernes. The vivid, almost cinematic expression of the characters, combined with Caravaggio's revolutionary chiaroscuro technique, make this masterpiece truly stand out. Now, this painting connects the story I'm about to tell you about another great artist and a great admirer of Caravaggio's work. Her name is Artemisia Gentileschi, and she was a talented painter whose art reflects Caravaggio's use of chiaroscuro, the dramatic contrast of light and dark, as well as his focus on representing realistic figures. Although the two probably never met, Caravaggio died when Artemisia was just a young girl, she was deeply inspired by his style and, more specifically, by the very painting I just spoke about. In fact, Artemisia went on to create her own powerful version of Judith beheading Holofernes. But behind her painting lies a traumatic and cruel story that left a scar in her for the rest of her life. Artemisia was 18 years old when she was raped by her father's friends, also a painter, who was supposed to look after her while her father was away on business. She took legal action against him. Now, at that time, it was extremely difficult for a woman to accuse a man of any crime, even when the evidence was clear. And in addition, it was common practice to torture the accuser to ensure that the allegations were not false. In Artemisia's case, she was subjected to the thumbscrew torture, which consisted in a mechanical device placed on 2 fingers, which would be slowly tightened until the bones were crushed. This brutal method was used to test the truthfulness of her testimony, as a woman's word was often doubted in cases like this. To make matters even worse, the device was applied to the fingers of her right hand, the hand she used to paint. Despite the unbearable pain, Artemisia endured the torture and stood by her accusations. In the end, she won the case. Artemisia continued to paint despite her crippled fingers, but as you can probably imagine, she was emotionally scarred to life by this event. It is said that Artemisia's painting Judith beheading Holofernes contains all of her anger, pain, and desire for revenge. Although this particular painting is now housed at the Palazzo Borghese, there is a section dedicated to the work of this courageous and resilient woman, featuring several of her other masterpieces. On the way through the palazzo, you'll be enchanted by the fresco on the ceiling of the Grand Hall, titled Allegory of Divine Providence and Barberini Power, another way for the Barberini family to display power and influence. And lastly, not to be missed even for just a look, is the Hidden Garden. Beautifully kept, it is considered a quiet oasis from the bustling, noisy streets of Rome. Here you can enjoy a walk through the garden and rest at the local cafe.